So I'm Hans Suarez. I'm a pastry chef at Fine Print, co-owner of Lasa Chocolates, and we make crinkle cookies, fine pastries, and desserts. What I love about food is the connection I make with the person eating it and then when I do it. That's the main reason why I made this into my career, is because I just love the connection, the feeling of socializing with people and then making them happy. At the end of the day, like when I see them eating my desserts and whatever food I make, that instant buzz that I feel, oh hey, I connected with someone. It's just an otherworldly feeling. The main role of food in my family, it brings togetherness. I remember growing up, we wouldn't start eating if not everyone's on the table. Like every single time. At first it pissed me off because I'm super hungry. I'm waiting for my food. I've waited for this for a while and we're not eating it. At first I did not appreciate that. Just because I'm young, you know, I just want to eat my food right away. But then like as I grew up, I started feeling, hey, yeah, this is nice. You know, waiting for my family before we eat, talking about life, you know, getting a lot of from my dad about what I did that day or yesterday, the other day. So things like that. That's the main role of food. And it's nice because every holidays, every birthdays, dinner, lunch, whatever, we would always connect through food. So it's a very nice feeling. The original plan was, as a Filipino, I was going to be a nurse, like shout out to Jokoy. But something happened in life, and then I found myself enrolling in a hospitality school, and then I just fell in love with cooking, and I further fell in love with baking. It was mostly because of this one chef instructor I had back in the Philippines. She was my ultimate mentor. Very talented cake artist. So when I saw her doing that, I'm like, I think I can do that, but I couldn't. It's a very special talent. But I saw myself doing the exact same, you know, path that she did. Very, very specialized in pastry. So when I saw that, I'm like, okay, this is what I want to do. As a Filipino, the way it influenced my techniques and my style is that I base it off familiarity and the feeling of creating an experience. That's my main goal. So like recreate my experience as a Filipino back home for people to experience. Specific dish that really inspired me on like my current style is my mom's macaroni salad, the fruit cocktail macaroni salad, which not a lot of people likes because they find it weird, especially like non-Filipinos. The way it inspired me is not the macaroni salad itself, but like the feeling of hominess. So when I create something, I like to recreate an experience when I make a dish, like the feeling of hominess. Like the feeling of me looking for it every holidays or birthdays when my mom's there. That like this is how I felt growing up eating this. And I want you to feel the same hominess, like the feeling of love eating these desserts that I make. So I want to share that experience growing up. Early days in the industry, yes, I did have a lot of challenges. When I moved here in Canada, it was a lot of culture shock. There was not much of language barriers, but the feeling of having away from home, because I grew up in the Philippines for 21 years before moving here, so the culture is very much different. Dealing with that and then trying to move my way up, learning everything was very challenging, but here I am now. The way I overcame it was two things, actually. First one was I found my peers, people that I can rely on. And then second is when I found my mentor. His name is Chef Ellie. He's in the Philippines now, he's a very talented chef. And then the current peers that I have, the one that I rely on when I'm having a hard time. Just dealing with, like me as an Asian in a kitchen that is very diverse. So I wasn't used to dealing with that because I mostly worked with Filipinos. And then when I came here, it was very diverse. I was working with different people with different backgrounds. So dealing with that, how do I traverse that in a way that I'll be respectful with everyone and still having that really good and respectful environment. So that was challenging at first, but it was a very good learning experience. Back in culinary school, my first pastry chef mentor, she organized this trip. We all went to Bangkok for a pastry training. At first, I didn't have any idea because we only had one pastry class out of like 20 culinary classes. So like very green, I know nothing about pastry. So when I got there, that's where my world opened. And the possibilities of what I can do with pastry. There's so many techniques to learn, so many ingredients to know. And then when I saw that, when I was there, like, okay, this is what I really want to do. Like not in the hot side, but in the pastry side. What defines Filipino food for me is it's a celebration of regional Filipino ingredients. While we're using traditional techniques like bibingka or like adobo or sinigang, they're all Filipino techniques. By using those techniques, we celebrate regional ingredients that can only be seen in one province or a city or a specific city or a specific part of like a sea in the Philippines. It's very regional, right? Like we don't have the chicken from Nueva Vizcaya. It's a different chicken compared to chicken in Bohol. The way it makes it unique and defines Filipino cuisine that way is that with using those techniques, there's a different way of doing adobo or whatever in a specific region. So technique and ingredients is what really defines Filipino food for me. Integrating traditional techniques with modern flavors is a very challenging thing. Let me give you an example. So a traditional technique like bibingka. Bibingka means it's cooking something in charcoal, like in a charcoal oven. So incorporating that with modern ingredients, it's not as challenging as you think it is, but it's still very challenging in the sense that modern ingredients mostly doesn't fit with traditional cooking techniques that we do. Hitting the right spot is actually essential. This one dish that I made, it's actually inspired by my auntie back in the province. So she made a bibingkang kanin, which she cooked bibingka way. And then when I tried to do it myself, traditional technique would require cooking it in a small oven with lots of charcoal around it, and then like closing it with another lid full of charcoal on top. So doing that with, let's say, a cake that I do usually at work, like say a jacon or whatever, it's very challenging because it's completely different recipe, completely different ingredients. So just hitting the right spot. It's basically just changing the type of ingredient, but still keeping the essence of the technique. Traditional Filipino flavors always comes up whenever I make plated desserts at restaurants. I find that commonly used Filipino ingredients are very approachable, like ube, pandan, and all that. And then I like that whenever I use pandan or ube, for example, non-Asians are asking me, "Whoa, what's ube? What's pandan?" Like, it's a very good way for me to educate people about ingredients that they're not used to. Like, no matter what their approach is, if they like it or not, right? It's still a very good way for people to see and feel and taste these ingredients that they're not familiar of. So representing Filipino cuisine in a fine dining level is a very, very honorable experience for me. It's a very big responsibility to do that. Because every time I put something out, it's not just about the guests eating my food. It's also about representing a whole culture. When I do, let's say, the ube Mont Blanc that I did, it's me trying to incorporate a familiar Filipino flavor into a traditional French technique and dessert. So as a pastry chef, that's a big responsibility, especially on the fine dining level. People will have a lot to say. This is not what you usually eat as a Mont Blanc. And as a Filipino, this is really not how we use ube. My responsibility now is to let people know that, hey, this is what we can do with ube and a French technique together. And hey, it works. Filipino desserts has a lot of potential. And showing that potential at a fine dining level is a big responsibility. And I'm here for it.
So what I'm doing today is called Chico Latte. Chico is a tropical fruit coming from South America. The Spaniards brought us to the Philippines. And then the latte part is chocolate, obviously. And then next, I have a pinipig crunch. So the pinipig is a flattened toasted rice. It's a very commonly used ingredient in the Philippines. We use it for kakanin, which is a glutinous rice dessert. And I turned it into a crunch by adding sugar, caramel, and turning it into a nice thin wafer. For the chocolate, I'll be using a Davao origin tablea. So tablea is a pure form of chocolate that we ground up, we dry it, and then we turn it into things you see here. It looks like a round candy shape. In the Philippines, traditionally, we drink that. Like, we put that in hot water. Flavor-wise, it's very bitter. So some people like it raw, some people like it with sugar. I like it raw. And then I am making a chocolate sauce made from tablea and brown sugar to kind of tie everything together. What makes this dish special is when I was back in the Philippines, I was in Cabanatuan, so it's a city in Nueva Ecija, one of the provinces in the Philippines. I was eating Chico, and my auntie or tita, she made a champorado dish. And I got very curious because when I smelled Chico, it smells like beer, right? But it also has a hint of chocolate smell into it. So when I ate it together, I had this like kind of moment is that like you have this very weird moment where, oh my God, it goes well together. So might as well try it together. And I've been wanting to try it together for a long time. And then I found a perfect opportunity to do it for a pop-up that we're doing. When I try to adapt Filipino dishes to the Western culture, first thing that comes to mind is Filipinos love sweet stuff, like very sweet. We have a sweet spaghetti, we have a sweet rice dish as a dessert, we have like really sweet ice creams. I found it sweeter than what we have here, actually, like especially the mango ice cream back home, ube ice cream. So what I usually do is I lessen the amount of sugar. That's first. Second, I think of a dish where everyone loves that I can turn into a less sweet version of it. And then third, what is a Filipino dessert that has the same ingredients that we have at Western countries that I can combine together so people are more familiar to it. And then when people eat it, they're like, oh, this tastes exactly what I have it back here in Canada, right? And this is, I think this is one of it. The only thing that they're not familiar here is the Chico. So I'm just about done with making the chocolate sauce now. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna actually start to plate this lovely dessert. So I'm gonna start with the tablea brownie, just directly on the plate, just exactly in the middle. And then I'm gonna go with a tamarind caramel. It's a nice round piping right there. And then next, the Chico. Just gonna let it sit right on top of the caramel, right there. And then my Chico Espuma. Just gonna cover it nicely. Gonna finish it with tablea crumbs. And then I have tablea right here that I'm gonna grate. Then I have my pinipig. I'm just gonna line them up nicely right there. Just to cover it a little bit. And then lastly, I have my chocolate sauce made with tablea. I'm just gonna pour it right around. And there we go, Chico Latte.
I feel like the Canadian culinary scene has always been ready, just because we're a very diverse community in Canada. Like there's so many people from other backgrounds in Canada, and Filipinos. I'm not sure what the actual statistical number is, but there's a lot of Filipinos in Canada. So we've always been ready. That's how I felt. We just need to actually put it out more and not be very closed off. There's a lot of Filipino restaurants already in Canada. So I think the only thing we need to do is just put it more out there, meaning we need to elevate it more, make it more approachable to non-Filipinos as well, because Filipinos are always ready. When it comes to Filipino food, that's what we grew up in eating on. But for other people that are not used to eating it, we need to make it more approachable. It's not just about the food, because I think our food is naturally approachable. Like the way we present it, the way we elevate it. It's very different, but what ties it together are the way of cooking, the techniques. I'm not saying we tone it down, but we, as Filipino chefs, we have to step up and put it more out there. So maybe wording our menus, so we have a way to educate them what it is. It's mostly about educating people about what the ingredient does and what it is, like the essence of the dish. You're gonna be super surprised that there's a lot of common things in a lot of Filipino dishes to other dishes as well, because we're heavily influenced with other cultures. What I really want to see for the future of Filipino desserts in Canada, really I just want to see a lot of pastry chefs do it more. Not just doing the traditional Filipino desserts, but really, really elevating it to actually push the boundaries of what Filipino desserts could be. There's a lot of techniques nowadays that we discover, like a lot of famous chefs discover new techniques, post on Instagram and all that. And I feel like we could use that to elevate Filipino desserts specifically. So what I would really tell my younger self is just go for it more. Experience everything. Don't be afraid to experience this and that. Maybe my progress was a little slow, just because I had to deal with a lot of things, but if only we can see the future, right? You won't really know what will happen unless you try it. The biggest learning experience I had was when I stepped out of my comfort zone and when I started trying things. That's where I started learning a lot. I feel like at that stage, when you're young and you don't do that, and you're gonna outgrow that curiosity. And when you outgrow the curiosity, then you're gonna lose passion. So what I would really tell the younger chefs that migrated here is just don't be afraid to try things out and just go for it. It's to actually fight for it more.